Welcome back to the Vanessa Eriksson podcast, where we dive into topics like data, AI, innovation, and leadership with influential leaders. My guest today is Yudi Chen, an AI product leader at a company that I have worked previously, whose mission is to save lives, Zenseact. Yudi has created Genius, an AI-powered search engine featured by Google Cloud, and presented today at the Data Innovation Summit here in Stockholm. Join Yudi and me to hear more. Welcome, Yudi. It's so wonderful to have you here and in Stockholm. Isn't it? And on a day that's so sunny. I know it's always sunny in Gothenburg, isn't it?
Well, yeah, like that. But I'm lucky. I feel lucky.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audiences?
Yeah, of course. My name is Yudi Chen. I'm leading applied AI and observability at Zenseact. So today I'm here for a podcast. I just finished my speech at Data Innovation Summit, and now I'm here talk about my ideas, my feelings, and my thoughts about AI together with Vanessa.
Thank you. But before we get into the advanced AI work that you're doing at Zenseact, would you tell us, the use of transformers in simple terms and really why they are needed?
Okay, of course. So I will start explain the concept of transformer. So transformer is a type of machine learning models. It understands language well, so expert in language. You can think of it as AI assistant or smart assistant that can read text, summarize the article for you. So that's transformer. And why it's important, I believe there are numerous articles on websites or on papers explain why it's important. I want to talk about from a product manager's perspective. So I believe transformer is important because it drives a core shift about how humans interact with the complex systems. Before we know, human needs to adapt to computers.
Yeah.
We need to learn command lines or programming language, or know how to write the SQL to query database. So we learn how to talk to computers so they can do things for us. But now it's the other way around with transformer. With transformer, now computer can understand us. So we talk our language, natural language, and computer figure out what we want them to do. Yeah. So that's very revolutionary shift in how human interact with computer. Besides, I believe transformer is also driving the AI democracy. Yeah, before, it's AI or machine learning model, that's the privilege for scientists, right? They use it in medicine, science, or mathematics. But for ordinary people, we don't use it. But now, we just use our native language to talk to AI. It can leverage in every aspect of daily life, check the email, make the schedule for us, booking a ticket. So it helps people. So that's why from a product manager's perspective, I believe transformer is.
And that's the value it brings.
Yeah, to our ordinary people, not just scientists.
Yes, true. You've led the development of Genius, an AI-powered semantic search engine for autonomous driving data.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through that process, how it came from concept to implementation?
Yeah, of course. So I will start with the concept part. Building an application, the first step, I believe, is always to figure out the pain points, user pain points. So we actually start asking around in Zenseact, our developers, what's the pain point while you are using data. So that's the first step. We figure out, they told us they don't have easy way to find the driving scenarios in our field test data. Either they manually scanning the videos or other sensor logs, or they write the SQL, that's another programming language. So spending hours finds just a handful of usable cases. That's the pain point. Not easy.
No.
So we confirm, okay, there is concrete pain point there. So let's do something. And then we choose a small set of data, about like 8 hours data as the experiment data. We use open source models, computer vision models, and large language models. We build the prototype really fast, maybe like 1 month, with some master thesis students. So we verify the feasibility. It's feasible using AI. So the next step is to make it scale. Then that's the real part, bring the concepts to production. Yeah, so that's the story. So to summarize, identify the user pain points first,
Yep.
and then put up a prototype really fast. And then we also, yeah, of course, we also collect some user feedbacks. And then when we have the proof, we go for the production. That's the story.
That sounds like, I mean, when you're getting this, you know, because you said, what is the challenge we're trying to face?
Yeah.
So is it the engineers? Is it the developers? Because the ones that are going through all the data and trying to figure out like these use cases, who exactly were you getting all this information from? I mean, for collecting this information, was it the engineers or the arts?
Engineers, developers. We go to, like, we have different departments at Zenseact,
Yep.
different arts, you know that.
Yes.
So we, interview, we shadow the developers who develop the features. For example, emergency braking people or the lake keeping assistant people, different feature people.
Yeah.
We ask around, we make the sample interview with development teams. Yeah. We ask the answer either by questionnaire or just book a meeting, face-to-face meeting to get that ready.
That's really interesting. But I'm thinking also when you were building tools, these AI tools like Genius, you would have also had some challenges with the data.
Yeah.
Was it the quality, the quantity of data, the availability of it? What was the biggest challenge when collecting data?
Okay, I mean the data part, the actual challenge was choose the right data sources. I mean, in AI and in applied AI domain, we always talk about scale up. But for this case, for building Genius, it's about scale down. Among all the data we have like so many data, so much data, petabyte of data. So what data are, representative most? We can't use all of the data because it's regarding the cost and
of course.
Yeah. So let's choose data. It must be reliable. It must be representative, and it must cover the needs of developers. So choosing the data was the challenge when we built it. So, but at the end, we choose, okay, we have a lot of sensor data from radar, camera, LiDAR, and other sensor parts. We choose camera.
Okay.
Why? Because when we choose camera to find the camera data to find the scenarios, we can also return the video data. So developers, they can verify if this scenario is what they want by their own eyes. So that's the reason we choose video data as one of the data results. And we also choose another data that's Zenseact's signal data. Yeah, that's specific signal data. It includes a lot of domain-specific signal. That part is really reliable. Yeah, because developers trust it. It's from the production. So choose the trustworthy data and don't choose too much data. So that's the challenge when we're choosing the data.
One of your key innovations has been embedding natural language interfaces into software engineering workflows. What has been your biggest challenge in that?
The biggest challenge, okay, it's still like from the problems. I mean, we need to figure out where to how to say, embed these interfaces. The part is still identify the problems. So we go back to the how to say, the beginning, like identify the problems. Where is the problems? And where this part of problems belongs to which part of the workflow, and figuring out this part, figuring out the problem is the first step, and then we will think about if it's possible to embed these interfaces into a workflow. So yeah, I mean, the challenge is to understand the workflow as a whole. How do we develop software? How do developers like develop software? Which part of the workflow can we embed this native language interface? And after talking to developers, we figure out, okay, this too can be embedded in development phase of the entire workflow. Yeah, while they are developing the software, okay, they can use this natural language, get the scenarios, do the algorithm validation during development phase, and pew, go to next phase.
So is it a challenge to also, it sounds like a long process.
Yeah.
It sounds like time consuming, because then you're looking at the entire flow to understand. Is that also, because I know speed is always of the essence, does that somehow present also a challenge, the time consumption?
I mean, it could be because it comes with the interview process when we try to figure out the pain points.
Yeah.
Yeah, we figure out the pain points is in development phase. We have development CI/CD flow, for example, and the final validation flow. And we find the pain points is in development cycle. And we find, okay, and this development phase, we can embed this application. So, I mean, the duration or the process to figure out where to embed this interface along with the interview.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer than we develop a prototype.
But it's so interesting.
Yeah,
really.
It's so interesting to talk to our developers, engineers, to understand their pain. Why do they use the data? What we can help to them. So that's really fun.
So through observability, you have managed to reduce the CI/CD, the downtime, the failure time, considerably. What changes or tools had the biggest impact when this was achieved?
First of all, data, of course. And secondly, the monitoring system based on event-driven system. Yeah, so they are the two tools help us to achieve this effect. So first of all, we make every test in CI/CD in a CI/CD workflow can report an event to our system, observability system. So when there is event happened, we will know. So that's the first step. And those data, we store them in a centralized database. So that's for the future insights. And I mean, let's go back to the monitor system. When the tests reports the results, it could be successful, it could be failure. All the events will report to our monitoring system. And then when we receive such events, when we see, okay, there is a failure is happening, so we immediately, we develop a bot, monitoring bot. We have this bot immediately send the alert to the Slack channel, to company level Slack channel. So everyone knows, okay, there is a bottleneck in the workflow. We need to fix that. So let's give it some attention. Before, we don't have this real-time monitoring system. So when maybe at the end of the delivery flow, some technical coordinator realized that we haven't got any delivery for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. What happens? Then they dig into very deep tools to find what happened. But with this real-time event-driven system, once something happens, we immediately get the information. We can even offer where this failure happens. So we offer the information, we tell you something happened, and then we got immediate attention.
That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that really sounds like, then I understand how much time is saved.
Yeah, true. I mean, before we got this observability domain at Zenseact, I mean, we did troubleshooting by manual guesswork. Some experts said maybe this is the problem. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah. We don't have a consensus. Yeah, but with this monitoring system, we all know, okay, so this is exactly the location. Let's focus, laser focus here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How cool. Could you share how semantic search and embedding services have influenced developer productivity?
The change has been transformative. Before this semantic search engine, as I already mentioned, our engineers describe the data finding experience as painful. So they're hunting for interested driving scenarios for hours just to find a handful of usable cases. But with Genius now, they just simply ask what they need in plain language. Mm-hmm. And it returns results within seconds, and at most 1 minute. And we did some calculation before. I mean, we also, had the feedback interviews with our users. So according to the feedbacks from engineers, they said like tools we heard most often are easier and quicker. And one engineer even called this application a game changer because he said, Genius, this application can return the result as good or even better results than what they used to wait for 1 week to get the feedback. Yeah, so now engineers spend more time on improving algorithms, enhancing features, or accelerate delivery instead of just manually scrubbing things.
So a real game changer.
Yeah,
I mean, but also reducing the validation times immensely.
Mm. So now, I mean, before they have to rely on like weekly full simulation tests to get the feedback. If the feedback is like, okay, no, the algorithm is not good, then they need to rework on that again. So how come one feedback loop will take a week? I mean, slow feedback kills innovation, right? Right now, they can use Genius to find the suitable data while they are writing the code. They find scenarios, they validate. So the validation actually can be done quite early, not the late stage validation, but during the development phase.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What are the important lessons you've learned while designing these KPI dashboards?
In observability part.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, data is a foundation. When we built this dashboard, we have like a data foundation. We put all CI/CD test logs in one place in a database. Make sure, I mean, it's scrubbed, it's processed, it's clean, it's indexed. That's the first step. I will centralize the data storage, not in this silo, in that silo. Yeah. We just put it in a central place. And then when we have the data, let's say dashboard ready data, I call it, And then when we create a dashboard, we need to understand the purpose. As I just mentioned, the key thing is, or the thing is that we want to solve a problem. When we build the dashboard, we need to know the purpose.
Yes.
Do you want to make it for communication needs, like just to show the problem and everyone on the same page? Or you want to use it as a troubleshooting stuff? So understand your purpose and build the dashboard. Because as I just mentioned, we have so many data. So we need to carefully choose the data source, not too much to
Yes.
make people confused. Make sure you understand your purpose and choose the right data and communicate on that.
As AI continues to grow, making sure that the data, like you said, choosing the right data is so important. But also that it's trustworthy is crucial, right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that the data that you're working with is trustworthy, especially when you're getting it from so many different sources?
Yeah. So yeah, that returns to our previous discussion. Among all those data, choose carefully. Choose the most representable data and choose it from the reliable sources. So for us, we choose the processed camera footage data from our data flow. Yeah, we have a data flow, quite good data flow, process all the field test data. So we got the data after the processing.
Okay.
Those data, we already, tagged, we already removed the low quality data. So that part for the video, for the camera footage data, we already sure by Zenseact data flow pipeline, we're already sure, okay, this is the clean and reliable data. And for the other parts, the data we use, the signal data, the raw data resource comes from our simulation test. That's also trustworthy data. Developers use it during the development and simulation test. Yeah, that's also come from another trustworthy data pipeline. So all the data select from trustworthy data pipeline.
Yeah, but I think you're right when you say, it's the teams have looked at it, it's processed, they know what it is, so that's why then we get to work with it. And that's somebody taking the accountability also of, we have checked this data.
True.
And that I think is quite important for everybody that is working with the data to know.
Yeah, true. I mean, we are working with this autonomous driving. So if we don't do things right, I mean, there is a high risk. So we need to make sure reliable data.
So let's look at then, we looked at, trustworthy, but we also need another big part, which is ethical data, right?
Yeah.
And when you're thinking of responsible AI, I know you are also an advocate for responsible AI. What ethical considerations guide you in your work? And especially if you're thinking the large language models, what is your thinking then, that takes you forward?
Well, this is a difficult one.
No, it's not.
Okay, so responsible AI, for example, for my project for Genius, first of all, we define clear use case. What's the purpose of this AI? Yeah, we clearly define the use case and we give the features, and we also identify the risks. We don't give the, risky feature. For example, we handle a lot of videos. We use computer vision model. We use large language model. So we make sure we don't offer the service to synthetic the data because there is high risks. So we just stick to the use cases we defined. This is the purpose, and we offer that purpose. This is the first part. Second part, in the very beginning, I ask my team to write the technical documentation very clearly. What tech stack we use, what data we use, so the user knows where does this genius come from. Yeah, and we also write the user guide documentation since the first iteration. How to use Genius? What is it do? How can you all interact with Genius? What's the limitation? We know the limitation. when we deliver one version, we will do the smoke test ourselves to understand the limitation of current version. And we write it very clearly in user documents, so they know what you are using and what could be the limitation. So clear use case and also technical documentation give a explainable architecture to users, explainable data resources to users. And we also have clear user guides, let them know the limitation of this AI system. Besides, we set up a communication channel with our users, like the engineers. If you have any question to this AI, or if you want to report any issues, problems you found in these AI systems, we are here. We are here to support.
That is really interesting, because I think sometimes when you're talking about biases, especially in the data, it's hard to know what you don't know.
True.
And that's why I think involving the organization and helping them to also, keeping this open channel, because if they see anything, they can raise a flag already and and kind of stop it or look into it.
True. I believe this is also, we call it have human in the loop for the oversight, because AI is so powerful. Sometimes as the creator, we don't even know all the limitations.
No.
So involve users in the loop, have a very have an instant communication channel, get feedbacks.
Yes.
This is really important. And actually our users help us a lot.
Looking ahead, what AI trend excites you the most, and how do you see them shaping the future of software delivery?
Well, I really love this question because it's really motivates me. Yeah, definitely AI agents. I really love it. Yeah, I really believe it can really increase the productivity. For example, automate the workflow we just talked, because our workflow is so long. Right? A lot of repetitive tasks are in the workflow. I really want to make some changes, make the AI agents to do the repetitive works. And so engineers, they can do more creative works. So definitely AI agents, I love it. And the technology is so advanced. We have this agent to agents. Now it's the trend, agent to agent. That means we have AI talk to AI, and they can execute a lot of tasks. Yeah, so now I'm already getting excited, AI agents.
Good. And finally, you've worked at Eriksson, at Baidu, you've been now at Zenseact for a while. What advice would you give aspiring AI product leaders and who want to make a real impact, like you?
Thank you. Let me think. So first of all, I talk about it from product manager perspective. So first of all, love the problems. Talk to users. AI, after all, is just a technology. We use it to solve real-world problems. So to be a good AI product leader, love the problems, love your users, identify the pain points. It could take some time, or maybe it could longer time than you put up a prototype, but it's worthy. Focus on that and keep your passion in AI. So, for example, my education background is in artificial intelligence, but after I graduate, I didn't work with AI from the beginning, but I still have that passion. So keep your passion, and then it will, take you to destination.
Yes.
Yeah.
So higher and higher.
Yeah, higher and higher.
Yes, because there is no stop, right? You keep growing, you keep learning, and you're educating yourself and go further.
Yeah, and you keep this keep this passion in your mind. You can connect everything with what you love.
Yeah.
You see all the opportunities in your life. So keep the passion, love the problems.
Thank you, Yudi. That was a really good ending. Love the problem, love your users, because that's really where you'll get also all the cases.
Yeah.
If you love the people that you're working with, then they come to you and tell you more of their challenges, so you can solve them.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the session as much as I have. Please make sure to like, to subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode coming up soon. Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.